All right. Another episode of Geek Vice is coming at your ears. We are the podcast that is the biggest fans of Harley Quinn cosplay that you've ever seen. Seriously, send us your cosplay pictures.
Welcome everybody to Geek Vice, proving any vice with enough geek can become a virtue. My name's Morph. That man's Kip. Good evening, Kip.
Good evening.
See this? We're drinking tonight. Little Andy Gator.
Never heard of Andy Gator.
Andy Gator. It's a Hell's Doppelbock.
So
it's a little bit of a darker beer. It's a little bit more of a hoppier beer. This one's actually Andy Gator is actually done by a Beta Brewing Company, and it's really good. And it's 8.5% alcohol, so it only takes a couple of them before you start feeling stuff.
So Morph will be asleep halfway through the podcast. Don't just ignore the snoring. It'll be okay.
It's only my first one of those, so I should be good.
I'm probably drinking a completely flat Diet Coke. See, no bubbles.
I was going to say, that looks really bad. I thought you were drinking whiskey.
Yeah, well, it actually looks like, maybe, I don't know
simple
what that
syrup.
looks like. Yeah, simple syrup. I don't know. Guinness with the head removed. I'm not sure.
There you go.
Or coffee. It looks like I just have coffee in a
coffee in a pint glass. That's the way most people drink it. So we got some big news today. Just kind of hit the wind today, really. That we've hinted at this in the previous episodes that we have joined up with.
Poorly hinted, as I'm going to point out that we poorly hinted at this.
Come on. I mean, we hinted that we were doing something with Eddie and some other podcasts. So if you guys didn't see it coming, that's your own fault.
It has nothing to do with our inability to do this podcast.
So we have joined together and formed the Podcast Arcade. You can find us. The website is thepodcastarcade.com. I believe there's probably just a placeholder there right now. We're working on developing that.
Live. The Facebook page is live. I know that for sure.
Yeah. The Facebook page is up. You can go to facebook.com/thepodcastarcade.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, exactly. But you go check it out. Go like them. Because if you like our show, you're going to like their show, and we're part of their show. So it's a group of 5 different podcasts, and I had it up on who all was in it, and I didn't keep it up. But it's us.
The Goad Kicker.
Yep, the Goad Kicker, the Underground podcast, or I think it's the Underground or Underground Inc. Yeah, the Goad Kicker, Daydream Instruction Manual, and Falcon Punch Thunder Dad, right?
Yeah, the inability of Morph to speak does not necessarily represent anybody's ability to speak in this network.
No, here we go. The Daydream Instruction Manual, Falcon Punch Thunder Dads, Geek Vice, Underground Inc., and Goad Kicker. So go check out those podcasts. Eddie is the one that has put this together. Eddie is the founder of Daydream Instruction Manual and Falcon Punch Thunder Dads. And then Underground Inc. and Goad Kicker are some of his friends from that, and they were nice enough to invite us in as well. So I think it's awesome that we're part of that. We're going to try to, in the future, do some big kind of events with all of our whole network. The website's going to get built up, which you can go there and when it gets set up, that will take you to the spot where you can download our podcast. So that's kind of cool. And hopefully we can expand on that and make it even more. So we're looking to leverage our fan base as well as all the other fan bases to kind of bring them together and make us bigger and better and give us more options that allow us to pool our money a little bit and maybe do some convention things and some events. So I think that'll be really cool.
Absolutely. And if you go to the Podcast Arcade Facebook page, you can see some of the art that will be on the website once it goes live. There's already links on there and links to everybody's podcast, and gives you a chance to get acquainted with our comrades in arms, and you can start to see the plan of world domination coming together.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's very cool. Very exciting stuff.
We like it. So be sure to go check them out and go like that page too. And then we also want to throw out, we got a couple of winners this week. We've got first, we've got a YouTube winner. We reached our goal of 20 subscribers. We're actually up to, I think, 21 now. So that's awesome on YouTube. I want more, so please go subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, Morph is never happy.
Nope, never happy. Always demanding more. But I got to give a shout out to Norm from Cheers. He is our YouTube winner. And I'm still working on which game he wants. I gave him an option of 2 games, either Splinter Cell Blacklist or Call of Juarez Gunslinger. And he said he has to get his Steam account working before he gets either one of those. So he is supposed to be doing that and then letting me know which one he wants, and I will send him a code for that. And then we had another winner over this last week, Ishabel, our lovely listener Ishabel, who has been with us for a long time and has been a ghost, been a guest on here. Gosh, this is awful. So she is a big winner, and she has won a copy of Far Cry 3. So we are still looking for 3 more likes on our Facebook page to get us to 115. That will I will draw a winner out of that to win another game. So go like our Facebook page. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if we get another I say another 9 more, get us up to 30, I'll give away another game. And I've got lots of games here to give away. Some of them, I mean, as you can see, Splinter Cell Blacklist is not that old of a game, and it is a AAA title. I have some AAA titles that I have extra copies of that I feel like I need to give away. So,
I have some AAA batteries, but I'm keeping those for myself.
Yeah, you need those. But so go like and subscribe to our stuff so that I can give away more things. I like giving away things. I like making people happy. So go do that so I can give you something. I can't, if you don't like it and if you don't like Facebook page and you don't subscribe to our YouTube channel, I can't give you anything. So go do that.
You have been warned.
You have been warned. So this week we have we were going to do about some books. We have some books, and unfortunately I can't read, so I didn't read any books that I haven't already talked about. I'm still reading a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons comics and really enjoying those, but I've already talked about those a lot, so I'm not going to talk about those again. But Kip read a book that is a New York Times bestseller, right? Maybe.
Yeah, believe it or not, it's not even a coloring book.
That's surprising. That well, I don't know if it was. Do coloring books get New York Times bestsellers?
You know they should. They
Yeah,
really
I think
should.
so. Yeah. Especially like the Deadpool one, or like the Triple X porn parody ones. Those should definitely get up there. Yes,
I'm
there are.
collecting all of those.
There are those if you really want to find them. So go
Really?
look for those. Yeah. It's
all right,
scary.
I'll be right back. I got to go hit Amazon.
So tell us about The Hatching by Ezekiel Boone.
Hey, you got it right. Okay. So the wife reserved this book for me at the library, and I knew nothing about it. So once I started reading it, it was all surprise. This is what the book is about. But what the book is a book about spiders. So if you do not like spiders, if it makes your skin crawl, probably shouldn't read this book. But if you like being really scared, and you're scared of spiders, this may be perfect for you. And I guess that's all I can say as far as recommendations on whether you should read it or not. What I'm actually going to tell you is it's an easy read. It's a page turner. It's about a species of spiders that nobody knew existed and technically was probably like 10,000 years old. And the eggs started rehatching. And they're different from your normal spider. Normal spiders kind of shy away, will only really bite humans if deemed necessary, kind of a survival thing. These spiders are not that way. They actually hunt. They're actually, they hunt in packs. They will feast on humans. They have a bloodlust. The first scene in the book, they are seen as this giant ribbon of black snaking through the jungle and eating every person in its path. Before they realize, hey, this big black ribbon has a bunch of little movement in it, and it's spiders. And he describes the spider as the body is the size of a golf ball.
That's a big spider.
That's just the body. You can imagine with the legs. So I imagine it's like a tarantula-looking thing.
Yeah.
And, it eats people, and it moves very fast, and you'll have to read the book. I won't tell you exactly what happens, but I will tell you this. If you like female empowerment stories, you may enjoy this because most of the characters are females, sorry, I can't speak either, in very pronounced roles.
Yeah.
Female president of the United States, for instance. The main scientist that they turn to, female. A geologist, is that the word I'm looking for? Studying seismic activity, female.
Yeah.
The one that's head of her platoon, female. So
interesting.
Female, huge part of this book. Doesn't detract from anything. I just think it's kind of awesome that this guy, Ezekiel Boone, decided to write the story with strong female characters. And there's no real main character to the book. It's a bunch of...
Well, the spiders are the main character.
Yeah, the spiders are the main character. And it does make your skin crawl as you read the book, which is, exactly why you'd want to read the book if you're into horror stories or what have you. Now I'm seeing my skin is already crawling just thinking about it. But like I said, it's well written. I am a slow reader. I'll admit it. Not the quickest guy in the world. It took me a little less than 3 weeks to read it, which is honestly pretty dang good for me because I do not read every night. And when I do, if I get more than 20 pages in, I've done something. It's like an amazing feat.
Yeah, that's kind of my problem too. Is if the book, if it takes a lot for a book to hook me in and get me going. That's why comic books work so well for me. Because if I finish, a comic book's 20 pages, 22 pages long. If I can finish 22 pages, then I feel like, okay, I did something. I finished a book. I felt like I could close it and accomplish something. Otherwise, when there's hundreds and hundreds of pages to read, you feel like, I didn't really get anywhere. So
yeah, exactly. It's just an easy read. His writing style is thus that you can just pick it up and go, and it's not arduous by any stretch of the imagination. The story picks up immediately with some action. It just sucks you in, and then it's just all the characters are intertwined eventually, so you're just jumping from one scene to the next. getting introduced to all the characters. And by the time they all can converge at the end there, then you can finally say, okay, now I can see how all this ties together. I'm not going to give anything away on the story, but I will tell you that it's the first one in what's going to be, I think, a 3-part series. So it ends where you can see that there's more to come, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, and it's about spiders. That's all I can say. So it will make your skin crawl as you read it, which is kind of cool and kind of makes you lay in bed and itch until you finally fall asleep. But I highly recommend it. It's The Hatching by Ezekiel Boone. I think it was just published this year, so it's brand spanking new.
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, pretty much anywhere you can find books. But there is also an audiobook on Audible and on iTunes. So,
oh man, that would be spooky.
Yeah.
And go to the hatchingbook.com and check out his webpage just for the book. The webpage alone is kind of creepy. So,
yep, agreed.
Yeah, and do it. Read that book. And if you need any help, there was a story on Google News today about a bunch of tarantulas from a Caribbean island that they weren't able to get to breed in captivity. They finally got it done, and now there's hundreds of little tiny tarantulas bursting from the ground. That is not the story you want to see after you read this book. But so I find that story, find the book, read the book, and then read that story, and you'll be suitably creeped out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That was even just reading that story, and it was on the Washington Post. And we'll put a link to that story and to the book's webpage in our in the notes, the description for this video, and then we'll also put it in the notes for the podcast itself. So you can click on those links and go check these out. It's my wife likes a lot of horror books. She likes those kind of. She's always been a big fan of Stephen King and that kind of stuff. But she's also really scared of spiders. So it's like, I'm not going to give this to her because she already freaks out when she sees a spider. I don't need her freaking out more.
Yeah, I would be really curious to see her reaction to this book.
Me too, but I also would like to live.
Well, yeah, I could see the need to survive there.
Yeah.
But there were a few instances where it did make my skin crawl, but I do feel like you're a little bit removed in places. So maybe if you're deathly afraid of spiders, there is some reprieve in the book, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's subjective.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, and so in the other book that you've got in here is this a book that you've read, or is this a book that you're going to read?
It's a 3-parter, and I've read the first 2.
Oh, really? Okay. So this is the third one. So this one's called True Bigfoot Horror: The Apex Predator.
That's right. I'll read anything, and I'll especially read anything UFO, Bigfoot, Bermuda Triangle, you name it. So I found these really cheap on Amazon for my Kindle, and it's different from anything else I've read about Bigfoot. Normally it's these weird stories where people say they were kidnapped by Bigfoot and kind of lived as a family for a while, kind of a thing. The way out there stuff.
Yeah.
This one, the author's name is Jeremy Kelly, and I did a lot of web searching and stuff and could not find much on this man. Like I said, I just stumbled upon his books on Amazon. Apparently, I must search Bigfoot a lot, so Amazon's like, hey, you may be interested in this. Yeah, it's probably also why there's a bunch of X-rated comic books that come up too. But that had nothing to do with my searches, I swear.
Yeah.
Anyway, these books are basically exactly what it says: true Bigfoot horror. It's stories that are completely different from the norm, and the fact that these people are actually stalked, hunted, if you will, some injured, some people actually killed by supposed Bigfoots. Um, the the whole idea of it sounded like, yeah, I'll read these. Really, how scary can it be? There are some stories that you're like, holy shit, dude, just get out of there. Come on. So they're what I'd call like really good campfire stories. So if you're out in the middle of nowhere around a campfire, and you like being really scared, maybe read one of these or tell one of those stories. If you don't like being really scared, stay the hell away from these books out in the middle of nowhere. The cool thing about it is in the first book, Jeremy Kelly talks about being a complete non-believer, blah, blah, blah. And then he had his encounter.
Yeah.
And then he says that, one day he will tell his encounter. Well, book 2, he tells his encounter. And his encounter, if it is true, is messed up. It is spooky as hell. And you're thinking he's just lucky to be alive if this actually really did happen. And quite a few of the stories are that way. You're like, this is just, you are just one lucky SOB that you survived this. So whether you believe in Bigfoot or not, it's like a bunch of ghost stories, to be honest with you. And who doesn't like a good ghost story? So these Bigfoot stories are actually kind of fun. And they're about people in mortal danger, but hey, no pain, no gain, I guess. So try the Bigfoot Horror by Jeremy Kelly. They're like $1 or something on Amazon for Kindle.
Yeah. This the latest one is $4 on the Kindle, but yeah, the other ones were a lot less. But also, if you are a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, which I believe is a subscription fee, kind of like a Netflix type thing, and I think it might be free for Prime members. I can't remember.
And if it is, then I've been missing out
but that allows you to read this book for free. So, or any other book from Jeremy Kelly. So if you're a Kindle Unlimited member, go check that out because you can read it for free, even better.
Yeah, so you're going to listen to this and think, man, that Kip dude is crazy. He believes in Bigfoot. I honestly don't know what.
Knew that.
Yeah, I don't know what to honestly believe. I'm just going to put it out there. My view is, man, wouldn't the Earth be a cooler place if it did exist? Yeah. So I read these things thinking, yeah, they're probably made up. But when you read these stories, you're like, if you're going to make up a Bigfoot story, why would you make up this one?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we've got that. I didn't read any books because, like I said before, reading books is hard for me. So I've been reading comic books, and we've got a new comic book from our good friend Patrick Scattergood over at Dark Pond Creations that we're going to talk about here in a minute. But what I also wanted to talk about is we went and played. We had our next session of D&D, our D&D 5th edition campaign, the Tyranny of Dragons campaign that Kip and I play in, and that was over the weekend and actually had a really good time. We actually survived better than the session before, so that was good.
Hey, nobody was rendered unconscious.
Yeah, nobody dropped. We did have a few people who were really close to dying, but we also got out of the area, the cave that we were exploring in. We got out of there. We've taken down 2 of the big bad guys of this group, so that's good. and we made it back to town enough to for a lot of us to level up. The only character that didn't level up is Kip over there. So
Yeah, they're always picking on me. I don't know.
yeah, poor guy missed out by just a little bit. So, um, but that means level 4 for the rest of our characters, and level 3 um, for for Kip's wife's character. She was our latest addition to the group, and so she's just now getting up to level 3. And but it's all really good. And what I'm going to try to do, this is on my list of things to complete or at least start up. I'm going to put all of our notes from the game, all of our basically our adventure log to the game, along with possibly character sheets, but at least character names and descriptions and alignments and that kind of stuff on a Obsidian portal page. And we're going to find a way to build that into our blog and or Facebook page, so that everyone else can go and can follow along with our shenanigans. So
That's right. And as Isabel says, no Kip left behind. That's a hashtag. But I definitely think you should put at least the picture from our character sheets.
Yeah.
Because V is one good-looking dude.
Well, I like all of the pictures that I know I found the picture for my guy and sent it to Brad and said, this is what I want my guy to look like. So that was kind of cool. The same thing. And I don't know if some of the other characters, did you find your picture or did you just let Brad find it?
I found it myself. I had kind of a vision of what I thought V would be.
Yeah.
And so I found a half-orc barbarian that had long, blonde, flowing hair. I mean, this guy, we took a long rest, and he was more worried about his bed head than actually getting all his hit points back. So that tells you what you're dealing with V.
Yeah, exactly. It was a lot of fun. We're having a good time with it. I've got the Obsidian portal page set up. I just have to start adding stuff to it, and our GM is going to start adding some of the NPC data to it for some of those characters, so that we got a little bit more on what we're doing and try to build this story. It's the idea behind the Obsidian portal page is to do two things. One, document what we're going through, but two, allow us an easy way to kind of go back and find, like, okay, where did we encounter this person? Or, we've heard this name before. Why have we heard this name before? So that we can come back and, as we're moving through this story, we want to be able to live in the story as we're playing through. But when you only play once a month or once every 3 weeks, you forget a lot between stories, especially some of the details. And so I'm hoping that the Obsidian portal page will help us track those details and help everyone else have a good time with it. And if that way, when I talk about it, I don't feel like nobody else knows what I'm talking about. So
yeah, we've got the best DM in the world, because he has to put up with a lot of crap from us, like not remembering who's who.
Yeah.
It took me a while to even remember who the people in my party, what their names are.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, oh, I forgot who that is. And then when they speak up, it's like, oh, yeah, you're Tolk. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. And, and trying to keep track of not just which character, but then kind of like you get all the NPCs involved and you run into them, and, it's a challenge. And we also don't really play outside the box. Let's just put it that way. I mean, we do, if there is a point A to point B that we're supposed to go, we're going to visit C, D, and E in between A and B. So, he's got a lot to deal with, and he does a great job of keeping us on track and moving the story along. So, props to him, and I'm hoping that maybe this Obsidian portal page will help the rest of us keep track of what's going on, so maybe he doesn't have to so much. But who
Yeah, but
knows?
that would require us to read and everything, and we've seen how well that works.
I'm gonna keep them to under. I'm gonna try to keep them to under 22 pages each. So how about that?
What you need to do is put a screenshot of your notes, so people can see the microscopic handwriting that you possess.
Hold on, I've got it right here. Let me. My binder is right here. Let's see. I'll open this
You
up.
have reading glasses, put them on now.
Yeah. I've done better. Let's just put it that way. I've done better. Let me put this off to the side. So let's see here. First of all, we got a map. We got a map in this last session.
Yeah, on a napkin.
On a napkin. This is what he drew up in a just a couple minutes. Just sitting there, whip this map out while we're sitting at the table. But then let's see. This is last week's notes.
Yep. So see the tips of his fingers as scale.
Not quite. I mean, it's graph paper. This is quad rule graph paper. I mean, it's not engineering graph paper, but there's a couple weeks ago is a full page. You can't even see the notes because I have to hold the picture so far away in order to see all the stuff. But it's a full page. I do about a page of notes per session. So,
well, when I was in high school, I was told that tiny handwriting could actually be a sign of high intelligence, and that's why the older I get, the bigger my handwriting gets.
Well, see, I started taking notes like this, which is just like scribbles all over the board, so it's like impossible to tell what actually happened. For the most part, I have a really good memory of what happens. So like when I start reading back through my notes, that's kind of the nice part is I can leave myself just broad hints, and then I remember the specifics to those. And it's the same. It's part of the reason why I don't go back and reread comic books very much, and I don't go watch movies over and over again, because once I start watching the movie, I can start remembering every little piece out of it. If I'm just sitting there without the movie going and I'm having to try to, pull scenes or words or lines or things like that out of it, I have a hard time doing it. But once the movie starts and I get the scene in my head, the rest of it all just falls together. And so it's the same thing with books. I've read a lot of the R.A. Salvatore books, and I went back and tried to reread one of those books for Reese, for my son, and I started rereading the book, and this was a book that I haven't read in 20 years, and I started skipping pages because I knew what was happening already. And I'm like, oh, wait, he doesn't know what's going on. I need to read all this part. It's like, oh, no, I know exactly what happens on this page and this page and this page. And it was just a couple words on the top of the page, and everything would just come flowing back to me. So I don't have a photographic memory by any means, because I don't remember a lot of shit. Just ask my wife. She gets mad at me for all the stuff I forget. But I remember the things that I don't need to remember. So,
well, that's part of being the male of the species, is you remember stuff that's not important.
Yeah.
But you're lucky, because I could watch a movie, go have dinner, rewatch the movie, and like, I don't remember this scene at all. So
yeah, see, I can't do that now. I could be sitting at dinner just after watching the movie and not be able to tell you anything about it. But the moment I start watching it again, it all comes flooding back. So, there's that. But enough about that. Look for it on our Facebook page. Look for it on our blog, which is geekvice.blogspot.com, for the link to the Obsidian portal page once I get it up and running. The next thing that we want to talk about is The Meek, Issue 2 from Dark Pond Creations. This is written by Patrick Scattergood, and art and cover by Carlos Marino. And Patrick sent us the first issue of this a while back, quite a while back actually, and we really enjoyed it. And I told him that he needed to send us the second one when it came up. So this is actually for sale now on his page, and I have the links for those on our Facebook page, so I'll be sure to include those in the description for this thing, in this video, and in the notes on the podcast, so that you guys can go check this out. It's a good story. The story kind of takes place issue 1 starts off and kind of ends. It has a tone similar to I Am Legend or The Walking Dead. This is a zombie tale. Patrick is a big fan of zombies, and you can tell with the way he writes these that he enjoys these kind of stories. So it's a really good story. It kind of goes through and tells this. The first issue kind of takes place with more of a I don't know, like a present day type thing, and the second issue is kind of most of it seems to be a flashback, telling kind of either before the zombies came in or just right at the beginning of the zombies outbreak. So you kind of get a little bit of backstory, but basically just enough for you to still ask some more questions on what in the world's going on. You learn that the main character was not a go-getter type person. He was kind of lazy and trying to just get through life on his own. You learn what causes the zombie outbreak, and you kind of get to see the main character change from being afraid of everything, nobody, not willing to do anything, to a guy who has to survive and has got to do whatever he can to find his family. So I think it's a good story. I think it's pretty good. What do you think there, Kip?
Oh, you're asking me what I think. I think it is a good story. I like the way the combination of flashbacks and running commentary works for me. It deals with all the things you would expect in a zombie apocalypse. Basically, nobody's going to save us but ourselves. Seems to be a pretty predominant theme, just in 2 issues. And the other thing that's pretty available in any zombie story you'll read, and is in this one, and that is, the zombies are bad news, but maybe we're in more danger from other survivors than we are from the actual zombies themselves, which I find a fascinating part of the story. Here we are against all odds, and we're being asses to each other.
Yep.
So, I do like his story quite a bit. I like the way he tells it. Is it breaking new ground? Probably not, but it's only 2 issues in, so we can't really say.
Yeah.
But the way the story comes across, it's pretty good. And it's not always just fed to you, the story. So I found myself having to reread certain pages, or
Yes.
I'll read it one way and think I know what's going on. I'll get to the next page like, wait a minute, I'm going to have to go back. And I'm fine with that, because I'm the kind of person I don't want to be spoon-fed. I want to be able to have to figure things out myself. And I think there's a little bit more to that than what I'm used to. So I did have to go back and forth a few times, but I enjoyed that aspect of it.
And I gotta say, I gotta give credit to Carlos Marino for his artwork in this issue. In the first issue, I had some complaints with the artwork being a little too bland, a little, not enough to it, almost with a little bit lack of detail. Because this is all black and white. There's no color to it. It's all black and white. And that's the hardest part with black and white is getting the shading, getting the inks and the art to give that sign of detail, to be able to tell everything that's going on, and the facial features that he does, that he has with this black and white artwork for both the zombies and the humans in it are really well done. I really like how he does them. The only complaint I have is, and maybe this isn't even so much of a complaint as it's we're not far enough along into it, so there's characters that we don't know who they are yet, but they're showing up in it. Sometimes it can be a little hard to tell who's who, and that's what caused me to jump back and forth. But I also have to remember that, in the first issue we're in present day, in the second issue we have some flashback and some present day, and so it's that divide and making sure, okay, this part is a flashback, this part is a present day, so this person could actually be this person, and they might not look exactly alike, but they've got to have those distinct features with black and white. It's a very fine line and very hard to do. I have the same problems. Believe it or not, I have the same problems with The Walking Dead. I'm not up to date on that one, but I'm pretty close to up to date from the beginning. So I've read over 120 issues of that book, and even then, 120 issues in, there's still sometimes characters that pop up that I have to go back and like, okay, who is that one? We need to put a name to them. And there's a lot of characters in this book, in the Meek, that don't have names yet. They're and that's not all bad, but we need to start getting some names to them so that we can help with that identification as you keep moving forward in the issues.
But it works with the theme of the story, and that is some of these people are all by themselves, and
yeah,
really at that point, does your name mean anything? No,
absolutely.
If your companion is a dog, it's never really going to call you by your name, so it makes sense,
right. And I get it, and that's the hard part is, and a lot of it, I mean, it's just making sure that we can flow from panel to panel and from past tense to present tense and be able to understand what's going on. The main character is definitely one that sticks out. You can tell he sticks out, which is good. You can get the idea, and so that's good. There's just a few other characters that have popped up here and there that I kind of want to know a little bit more about and where they've come from and what's kind of going on with them. So I'm looking forward to the next issues. Patrick Scattergood's writing, I like it, and Carlos Marino's art, I really like. So I recommend going and checking this book out. If you don't have it, go get it. You can order it online, and I believe that he has them digitally. So. But then I think you can also purchase them in copies. So if your local comic book shop doesn't have them, ask them for them, because I'm sure they can go order them too. So I like it. Me likey. Way to go, Patrick.
And no zombies were harmed during the taping of this podcast.
Yeah, and at the end of the book, they have well, first of all, the very last page, they have a zombie standing in front of what looks like a Union Station type thing. And it says Eastern Standard Time. You see the clock, like that, like the way they drew that picture almost on top of a photorealistic thing. I love that picture. I think that's really cool. So I got to give credit to whoever did that. But I also want to throw out there, Patrick's got another book that's coming out called Freak Show. He says coming soon, which, Patrick's big into the zombie type genre, but this looks like it might be a little different. It's going to be, it says, from the minds of Bill Oberist Jr., Patrick Scattergood, and Carlos Marino. So, that's two of the people who did this book. I don't know Bill Oberist, who that is, but I'm kind of curious to see what this is. It makes it almost look like a carnival type thing. I'm wondering if it will, I don't know. I'm just curious to see what comes out of that. It looks kind of good. So there you go. Good stuff coming out of Dark Pond Creations. Go check them out.
Stuff to look forward to.
Yeah. And you can find them over on Facebook as well. I believe it is facebook.com/Dark Pond Creations. I'm going to see if that's right. Boom, it is. There you go. All one word, Dark Pond Creations. So go check them out. I like them. What else do you got for us tonight, Kip?
I think we've covered everything we wanted to cover. The big news, of course, being the podcast Arcade Network that we're now a part of. So check it out on the Facebook page. Give our buddies a listen.
That's Facebook.com/the podcast arcade. So
yes, check them out. Some funny dudes. You'll get some good information about fitness from the Falcon Punch guys, and you'll get the funny from Eddie, and there's all sorts of good stuff there. And check us out too. So what the heck?
Yeah.
If you're into, punishing yourself, then Geek Vice is there for you.
Exactly. So you can also follow us over on our blog at geekvice.blogspot.com. You can follow us on Google Plus for as long as that's there, which I don't think is going to be too much longer. And Facebook, facebook.com/geekvice. You can also follow us on Twitter. You can follow that man over there at Kip Killigan. You can follow me at Geekvice. You can also follow the Podcast Arcade at the Podcast Arcade, I believe, on Twitter. So you can go follow thems. You can also go check out our YouTube page. Easiest way to get there is to go tiny.cc/geekvice. That's the easiest way to get there. If you're going to search on YouTube to find us, you got to search under Kip Morph. So that will get you to our page, and you'll know it because our pictures are all over everywhere, and our logo's there. So you'll know it's us. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can get notes. You can get live updates. When we go live for these recordings, you will get a ding on your phone, or if you're using Chrome, on your Chrome browser. So you will get those when we go live because that's what YouTube does. So there you go.
There it is.
And one last thing, you can always email us at geekvice@gmail.com. So go do that. And next week, I'm going to throw this out there now. Next week, we have an interview with the First Kansas City Board Game Cafe. So they are running a Kickstarter to raise money for this, and they've actually met their goal. I checked that this morning. That is awesome. Congratulations to those guys at Pawns and Pints. But we're going to have an interview with them on next Monday night. So come join us Monday night for our interview with Edward from Pawns and Pints.
Yeah, definitely check them out. Look at their Kickstarter page. Yeah, they're funded, but there's some cool rewards, whatever they're called.
Stretch goals. We need to get to stretch goals because we need to get to, I believe it's 30,000. If we can get to 30,000 funded, that stretch goal is for them to have beer taps. So I think that's really cool. They can get some keg beer there. So they're if they don't reach out, it's going to be bottled beer. So that's still good. But let's get some beer taps for these guys, because who doesn't want to play board games and drink beer at the same time? Not this guy. He always drinks beer when he plays board games. So.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and tune in next week for another episode of Geek Vice. We'll see you later.
Later.